Just work. That's really it. You know, you bounce off that. That's no. Look, the technique is easy. Photographic technique is simple. It really is. But the whole process, it's a very forgiving process. You can make a lot of errors and still wind up with a printable negative. I really don't think you really learn from teachers. You learn from work. And I think what you learn really is how to be, and you have to be your own toughest critic. And you only learn that from work, from seeing work.
Ethan Winogrand. You're looking at my father's photographs, and you're listening to music I composed and recorded. Music was a very important part of my father's life. His whole family were, you could call them fanatics or obsessed with opera and classical music. So I was introduced to music before I can remember, because there was always music on, and it was pretty much classical. Since he's most known for street work, I think that really just came about because you could go out anywhere in New York in the streets and there was always something to photograph, something happening. If we were walking with him on the way to lunch or somewhere in New York, there was always a sort of a rule that we couldn't walk ahead of him. You have to stay a half a step, either even with him or a half a step behind to give him a clear view of what was ahead of him to photograph. So some people thought that was odd or strange because it was just completely the natural state of, if you were with my father walking down the street, that's how you had to operate. A lot of the photographs that take place in Central Park, I'd say a fair amount, my sister and I were with him because we spend weekends with him, and we'd always go to Central Park if it wasn't, horrible weather. And so there's one photograph in the show, in the book, that I remember very distinctly that we were there with him, and it's the photograph in Bethesda Fountain with the woman who's exposing her breasts with a crowd of men staring at her. I don't remember the year, late 60s or something, but it was a time of exhibitionism for sure. And she just started slowly, almost like a strip, undoing her blouse, and he was taking pictures of her before. He continued to take her, and slowly this crowd came to watch her, and that's how that unfolded. It really was, and very quickly, within 5 minutes, maybe 10. I don't really know. I really wouldn't be able to give you any specific idea of my father in terms of politics, but it's very well known that the Cuban Missile Crisis was one of the primary moments for him politically. It completely changed his perspective in terms of politics, and mainly because during that period, however long it was, the most crucial period of 3 days, I think, where it was possible for a nuclear war to start, and I think it's basically he felt that he and nobody really had any control over their life. If a nuclear bomb can be dropped at any minute, it doesn't matter. You have no control. It could happen, and then everyone's dead, and so for him that was a major turning point, and he just sort of gave up on politics. He stopped voting, and he followed politics. He read the newspapers. He was very much on top of the issues, but I don't think he felt that there was any sense in actually being involved. People wonder about the differences between working methods from New York versus Los Angeles. And a lot of the differences in terms of developing his own work, film and everything, and was in New York City. He had built his own darkroom, so he had everything set up to develop, print contact sheets, and make prints. And when he moved to Texas, he didn't have a darkroom in his home, or Texas or Los Angeles. He used the university darkrooms. I think that's partly a reason why he didn't, especially the last years, the famous undeveloped work, and then he had work that he had developed but hadn't even made contact sheets, which means he had never even seen any of that work. Then going back to New York, when I was a little kid, both my sister and I would often be in the darkroom with him, never at the same time, and we helped him work when he was printing. We would operate the enlarger, and we'd watch him print, watch the prints in the developer and stuff like that.
I learned a long time ago that I just go ahead and do it, and then I close the door on it, because I know that that's the way I function. And it's really, I don't deal with these things like they're masterpieces. I deal with them in terms of what I'm interested in at a given moment, really. And I could look at a picture and I could be interested in it for this reason or that reason. And I indulge myself that way. I learned a long time ago there's no one show or selection that's going to be fatal, or gonna send me heaven bound, one way or the other. You know what I mean? It's not all that serious. I don't deal with it that way. I never have. You see that? You see that? Another masterpiece bites the dust. You see?